Well, welcome to TuckerAllen Live. I'm Scott Trout, and I'm going to be your host for this brief session. We're going to talk about something so important, not only during this pandemic, but something in general when it comes to estate planning. So we thought we'd talk a little bit about that today, and I'm joined by a TuckerAllen attorney, which is Teresa Yao. Welcome, Teresa.
Thanks for having me, Scott.
So as you know, as we talked about in our virtual town halls and our podcast, and for those of you watching on Facebook, again, don't take this as legal advice. It's not an attorney-client relationship. This is really one where we're just going to kind of educate you for this very brief Facebook Live session today, and also we're using Zoom technology. So, Teresa, we're talking about durable powers of attorney. It's something that really, I think, became very, very important when we were faced with COVID-19 and its importance. And so for many people, they get confused as to, I've heard of general powers of attorney. Can you really explain to everyone watching and listening, what are durable powers of attorney?
Absolutely. So just to take a step back, normally when people think about their estate plan, they automatically think to after they pass away. So like the wills, the trusts, all those documents. But actually part of your estate plan is also having documents that work for you while you are alive still. And that's what these powers of attorney are. And when we talk about powers of attorney, there's two primary documents we like to think of: the financial power of attorney and the healthcare power of attorney. And essentially, these documents allow you to share your decision-making powers with somebody that you trust. So for the financial one, you're sharing your financial decision-making powers with an appointed agent. And then likewise for the healthcare one, sharing your healthcare decision-making powers with a healthcare agent.
Yeah, and really, I think one of the things, and you think about durable powers of attorney and healthcare, you immediately think, oh, I have to be older, I have to maybe I'm getting sick, or I don't feel well, or I have medical problems. But it also is important for college age kids, which shocked me because, of course, I've got 5 kids and I've had 3 go through college. Never once came across my mind that was important, right?
Certainly. So really, powers of attorney are helpful for people from all ages, right? So as soon as you're an adult, when we actually do a college campaign here at TuckerAllen saying, hey, do you have college age students like going off to college in September, August? And we help set up powers of attorney, because just because you have your 18th birthday, that doesn't mean magically you're all suddenly capable of doing all these things that your parents have been able to help you with. So we really encourage setting up powers of attorney for college age kids, because a lot of times they still want their parents to be able to step in if a medical emergency were to happen, or even to continue filing taxes. So they want their parents to serve as their financial agents.
Yeah, I mean, breaking it down, we use, lawyers tend to use these big legal terms, and it doesn't necessarily become very descriptive. But, you mentioned it, filing tax returns, buying and selling property, managing bank accounts. That's a big one, whether you're an adult or a child. I ran into that problem with my college age children, in that I wanted to do a banking transaction, and now that they're over 18 or 18 and older, I can't do it unless I have a durable power of attorney, right?
Right, because they're adults now. Once they turn 18, technically the law is saying, okay, you're adults. Yes, your parents are helping you with stuff before, but now we need some extra authority built in with these instruments to actually continue letting them to be able to take care of you.
So we talk about the durable powers of attorney as well as the healthcare together, because I think about, I had an aunt who became ill, and thinking about that, we needed to do some transactions financially, and then we also need to make healthcare decisions. So they do work together. So maybe you can talk a little bit about how the healthcare power of attorney works, and then maybe how they work together.
Yeah, absolutely. So with healthcare powers of attorney, really, I like to think that one is close to my heart, because it really is about if you have a loved one that happens to go through a medical emergency, whether that be a college-age student or your elderly mom or dad, you want to be able to know that their wishes are being respected, because when they appointed you as a power of attorney, they essentially are saying, hey, I trust this person to make these decisions on my behalf. And in the event that they're incapacitated in the hospital, you are able to step in and make sure that they're taken care of in their best interests. And the financial power of attorney, why it's good to couple them together is, hey, hospital bills can get really expensive. And yes, you can help make their healthcare decisions for them, but you also want to make sure that, they're not just accumulating like a bunch of debt, like racking up these hospital bills. You can still help them continue to pay off these bills if you're also their financial power of attorney.
And it makes sense, not to wait. We've been talking a lot about during the pandemic that if not now, when, right? Because now this health crisis across the country, now everyone from children to elderly or older are potentially going to get sick. And we just don't know. And so why not plan? Now, the question, I guess, is I'm thinking through this. You don't need to do a full estate plan. Don't have to in order to have the durable powers of attorney in healthcare, right? You can just do and carve those out and at least take a first step, right?
Yes. So a lot of times people might find it daunting to say, I'm not ready to create a trust. I'm not ready to create a will, especially if you're a younger adult. You're like, I don't have enough to really care about those aspects. So absolutely, you can take a more graduated step. Say, okay, I would say the most important things to set in place are the powers of attorney, right? Because especially right now, set those up. And then when you feel more comfortable, come in and do your other documents. Of course, like best recommendation is say, wait, why not just set everything up in the same time? But please don't let that be a deterrent to you to setting up your powers of attorney.
Yeah, you don't want to get in a situation where now you're in a rush. I've had family members in that situation and it's unpleasant. Now the pandemic has made us all think differently about, okay, who's going to make the decisions for my healthcare? Who's going to handle my finances? With my kids, my wife and I talked a lot about it. We have a daughter who's a nurse, and it made sense. She can make the healthcare, and her siblings were comfortable with that. We didn't want this stress as it is if we become sick or something happens to us or we're incapable of making those decisions. And then we had our son, one of our sons or two of them split the decisions for finances. That's kind of the makes comfort for us and not have to worry about the full estate plan. And that's why I think I wanted to talk to you about this, because it really bothered me when COVID hit, as we began to think about the durable powers of attorney.
I wasn't really avoiding it, but I'm pretty good at procrastinating. I needed a trust. When I found TuckerAllen, all our questions were answered, all of our fears allayed.
You want your wishes in place, so there's no guessing, no stress on the children.
Basically, they talk about what you need, what's important to you. It was more conversational, really very simple.
What happens when you don't have it? I get sick, I go to the hospital, maybe I'm in a coma, or I'm unconscious, I can't make the decisions. What happens?
So really, that is an unfortunate situation to end up in. And these documents, the powers of attorney, are so easy to execute that really with just a little bit of time and a little bit of planning, you can avoid the unfortunate circumstance of being left kind of out in the lurch. Because if you don't have a power of attorney set up, let's say your financial power of attorney, you're essentially relegated to the courts. So it doesn't have to be your family members. A lot of times it can be, but you also don't know which one of your family members will have to petition with the court to say, hey, I want to petition to be the term is conservator. It just means I want to petition to be the person to take care of this person's assets. And because you're dealing with a judicial proceeding, it can take a lot longer, it costs a lot more, and it's just very emotionally draining, especially when powers of attorney are really helpful in those urgent decision-making circumstances. So a lot of times the judicial proceeding is a really unsatisfying alternative to fall back on.
So on the healthcare, the courts will get involved and they have to go down a list, I presume. It depends on your state of who they go to first to make decisions for your healthcare, right? That's what a hospital
So
would do.
for
right?
healthcare, yeah. So for healthcare, every state has these surrogacy statutes saying who can act as your surrogate in case you're incapacitated if you don't have a healthcare power of attorney. And in Missouri, yeah, if you have a guardian, then the guardian acts first, then your spouse, then your adult children. Of course, if you have like an even number of adult kids, there might be a clash, and it might end up being a stalemate. So really, it's not a good fallback, I would say. So I think we're discussing these alternatives. It's the law has builds in these backups for what can happen, but I guess the moral of the story is these backups are not really satisfying to most people. So please do a power of attorney.
So a question came in, and I'll ask it, Teresa, because it's a good one. Debbie wants to know if there's a limit on how many people that she can name as her healthcare power of attorney.
So technically, no, and we actually encourage you to build in successor agents. So we would say for your healthcare power of attorney, I normally recommend one by one rather than co-agents. But of course, if you know your family best, and Debbie, if you feel like your kids or whoever you're thinking of would operate better in a co-agent situation, totally fine. But I normally recommend one by one and at least 2 backups. But if you want to build in, 6 to 10 backups, all of the power to you.
Right.
So.
And I was a client at TuckerAllen, and I had you do it, and I named backups, but I named a primary, Debbie, and it's important because I didn't want to get infighting among individuals. And, I made my wishes clear, and I named one individual and said, here's what we want. And I think that's the more peace of mind, is that that if something happens, that process will be streamlined and your wishes are known. They will follow your wishes, and it makes that decision easier than I was staying in a hospital with a loved one, and we had no idea what they wanted to do. We had, we thought we'd have more time. The whole adage, we're healthy, nothing will happen. Well, something happens. And now you have no idea whether they want prolonged measures, they want life-saving, they want to be on a ventilator, just craziness. So as you said, you can limit or you can add backups. And I think it may just want to talk to an attorney about making sure that those are the right steps to do. So this whole process of creating a durable powers of attorney as the healthcare, is it an easy process? Is it rather quick to do? Does it require a lot of effort, from the client's standpoint? Can they contact you, and do a Zoom conference and really set this up?
Yeah, fortunately, it is actually pretty quick and seamless process to set these up. I would definitely encourage you to talk to an attorney about it, though. Come in, talk to us. We can kind of highlight the important considerations you should take into account as you're making these decisions. But essentially, all we need is for you to tell me who are the people that you're thinking of, and I'll ask you questions to make sure that these people really are the most appropriate for what your goals are for both your financial power of attorney and your healthcare power of attorney. And for your healthcare power of attorney, I just ask for addresses and phone numbers for those agents, and then it's off to the races. We can create those documents for you.
And I know we talked in our virtual town hall a bit ago about, what do you do with these documents once you have them? And I think that's equally important. And I would encourage people to go to, our website, TuckerAllen.com, and take a look at that virtual town hall, because I thought, which was amazing, you talked about the GO package, and which is kind of putting those important documents in a place and giving to individuals that they can access them, because there's no point in creating a durable power of attorney in healthcare if no one can find them, right?
Totally. So yeah, I mean, it's great. I love creating these documents for people. They get peace of mind. But let's say you put it in a fireproof safe in like the innermost closet of your house. I mean, it's really safe there, but and you don't tell anyone. Who's going to find it? And if nobody finds it, who's going to actually effectuate your wishes? So the golden rule, I would say, is safely stored but accessible, with an underline on the word accessible. Yeah. To that point, though, I also want to add an extra mental note for our listeners. For your healthcare power of attorney, after you create them, I highly encourage you, next time you go to your doctor's office, ask them to scan it into your electronic medical records, because the healthcare providers are the people who are actually going to use these documents. So you might as well just put it in their hands beforehand.
And once you do it, you can always modify and amend it, right? You can replace individuals as time goes by, as your desires and wishes change, as relationships change. I know we had a question at the virtual town hall where someone was appointed, and they're no longer a member of the family because of a divorce. So you can make those changes, right?
Absolutely. So, and the changes are pretty easy to make with the powers of attorney. You just tell me who you're thinking of now and any additional wishes or whatever changes you want to make.
Yeah.
When we create a new one, we have a provision in each of our powers of attorney saying once we create this one, it revokes all prior ones. So you don't have any conflict with the older documents either.
So Rick asks a question, Teresa, should the same people be the healthcare and the durable, or should it be different?
That's a really good question. I get that a lot. A lot of times it's the same people because it's if you have adult kids, it's the kid who is closest by or you feel like is the most responsible out of your children, but they absolutely do not have to be the same. I would say in those two documents, I have two different metrics. So with the durable power of attorney for finances, I would say, who do you think is actually savvy and responsible and knows how to navigate these financial institutions, is good with money? Because number one, obviously for both of these rules, you want to make sure this person has integrity, but you also want to make sure they're actually equipped to carry out what you want them to do. For healthcare, I would say ask yourself who in the world shares the most similar values as you, so that with regards to your body and your health, they would be making the same decisions as you would.
Yeah. It's good advice. Even for us personally, for my family, it was, maybe it's unique. And that is, I wanted to make sure that everyone felt that they had a part, as much as they could. I didn't want them to feel like I was choosing someone over the other. And so we allocated those, as you suggest, to those who perhaps had the right experience in healthcare and finances, and everyone's unique. And I think that's the best part of the durable powers of attorney. You can pick it and you can choose it and have that conversation with your attorney about what is appropriate and what is normal and what isn't normal. But it's up to you. That's the whole point of creating this, is following your wishes, which I think is awesome. And making sure. And so as we talk about, the durable powers of attorney, and mentioned it is one step. Again, I want to emphasize, many people think that they have to go through this and then through the entire process. Obviously, I know you would recommend a real consideration of taking that next step to make sure you have a will or trust and avoid the probate. But again, you can separate those two out and make this as painless as possible, right?
Yes, absolutely. I would say, please don't let the whole package deter you, because it's so important to set these powers of attorney up. So just if it's like a little baby step in the right direction, this would be the baby step. And then we can, if you take the baby step and want to do more, we can definitely help you, but please don't be afraid to just start the first step of the process.
Yeah, great. Well, Teresa, thanks for joining us on TuckerAllen Live today on Facebook. We look forward to doing more of that and getting more information and just spending 15 or so minutes with you and filling people in. So thanks for joining today.
Well, thanks for having me again.
So you can find out more information on this. I know this was just a short segment on the importance of durable powers of attorney in healthcare. You can go to TuckerAllen's website at TuckerAllen.com. There is enough information on there, with including videos, including the virtual town hall that I was fortunate enough to host with the attorneys at TuckerAllen, where they have offices in Kansas, Kansas City, Missouri, here in St. Louis metro area, and across over in Illinois as well. You can reach them at 866-335-3375, and encourage all of you watching, follow them on social media and Facebook. You'll get notified when the next TuckerAllen Live is going to take place, including the next TuckerAllen virtual town hall, where we spend an hour talking about that and getting you to log in, ask questions just like today, but getting more time and more estate planning in depth in that process. So until next time, we look forward to seeing you. Have a great week.